the great prostitute of Revelation, one of the Bible's most mysterious and symbolic figures. Described as a woman adorned in purple and scarlet, seated on a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, she holds a golden cup full of abominations. But who or what does she truly represent? At first glance, this may seem like an ancient tale, but it's far more relevant than you might think. Understanding her role and meaning could reveal profound truths about the world and our spiritual journey today. Before we dive deeper into this intriguing topic, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our thought-provoking videos. If this topic fascinates you, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us reach more people. And here's a fun challenge for you. In the comments, share your thoughts. What do you believe the great prostitute symbolizes in Revelation? I'm eager to read your insights and spark a great discussion. Discussing the great prostitute in the book of Revelation isn't just about unraveling a symbolic figure from ancient times. It's about uncovering a powerful message that remains deeply relevant today. This figure represents more than meets the eye, tied to themes of corruption, idolatry, and spiritual deception that have impacted humanity across the ages. If we fail to understand the symbolism behind the great prostitute, we risk missing the critical warnings and lessons that Revelation offers about the dangers of aligning with corrupt systems and turning away from God's truth. On the other hand, by uncovering the meaning of this powerful symbol, we can better recognize the spiritual battles we face, strengthen our faith, and prepare ourselves to stand firm against the forces that seek to pull us away from God. In this video, we'll explore why this message is essential not just for understanding the Bible, but also for navigating the challenges of our modern world. The great prostitute, also referred to as the great harlot or the whore of Babylon, is one of the most enigmatic and symbolic figures in the Bible. Her description is found in Revelation 17, and it paints a vivid picture rich with imagery and deeper meanings. Let's explore how the Apostle John describes her and the significance behind each element. In Revelation 17, verse 4, the woman is described as clothed in purple and scarlet and adorned with gold, precious stones, and pearls. These colors, purple and scarlet, were historically associated with royalty, wealth, and power. They symbolize her outward grandeur and influence, but also hint at moral corruption beneath her luxurious appearance. Her adornments of gold and jewels further emphasize her allure and the ability to captivate others with the illusion of prosperity and success. However, this opulence masks the spiritual decay and depravity she embodies, representing a corrupt system that prioritizes materialism and greed over righteousness. The woman is depicted holding a golden cup, which at first glance might seem like a symbol of purity and sacredness. However, Revelation 17 verse 4 reveals that this cup is full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. This stark contrast between the cup's exterior beauty and its vile contents symbolizes the deceptive nature of the great prostitute. The cup represents how this figure or system seduces nations and people, offering them what appears to be desirable and valuable, only to lead them into spiritual corruption and rebellion against God. Revelation 17 verse 5 describes a name written on her forehead: Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of the abominations of the earth. The term Babylon is significant because it connects this figure to the ancient city of Babylon, a symbol of idolatry, moral corruption, and rebellion against God throughout the Bible. By calling her the mother of prostitutes, the text implies that she is the origin or root of widespread spiritual corruption and idolatry. Her influence extends globally, drawing nations and individuals away from God into practices that defile and oppress. One of the most striking elements of her description is that she is seated on a scarlet beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, Revelation 17 verse 3. The beast represents a political and worldly power that supports her, symbolizing the alliance between corrupt religious and political systems. 7 heads. Later in Revelation 17, these heads are explained as 7 hills or kingdoms, likely alluding to powerful empires or systems throughout history. 10 horns. These are described as 10 kings or rulers who share power with the beast, further illustrating the widespread influence and reach of the great prostitute. The fact that she is seated on the beast indicates that she exercises control and influence over these powers, but also that her authority is intertwined with their corruption. In Revelation 17, verse 6, the great prostitute is said to be drunk with the blood of the saints and the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. This chilling imagery highlights her active role in persecuting God's people. Her intoxication with their blood symbolizes her delight in suppressing the truth and promoting systems that oppose God's kingdom. This persecution isn't just physical. It also includes spiritual oppression, leading people away from the truth and into practices that deny God's sovereignty. The description of the great prostitute in Revelation is layered with symbolic meaning, revealing a figure or system that embodies spiritual corruption, idolatry, and oppression. Every element, her clothing, the cup, the beast, and her actions, paints a picture of a force that seduces and corrupts nations, drawing them away from God. Understanding this description is crucial because it helps us discern how similar forces may manifest in our world today, calling us to remain vigilant and faithful in our spiritual journey. The great prostitute, as described in the book of Revelation, is more than a literal figure. She is a deeply symbolic representation of corruption, spiritual rebellion, and worldly systems that oppose God. The imagery surrounding her is rich with meaning, offering profound insights into her identity and influence. Let's dive into the key symbols associated with the great prostitute and what they represent. The name on her forehead, Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of the abominations of the earth, Revelation 17, verse 5, immediately ties her to the biblical city of Babylon. In Scripture, Babylon is a symbol of rebellion against God, dating back to the Tower of Babel, Genesis 11. It represents human pride, idolatry, and a society that seeks to replace God with its own power and achievements. In the context of Revelation, Babylon is not just a city but a system, a spiritual, political, and economic entity that promotes values contrary to God's kingdom. The title Mother of Prostitutes implies that this system has birthed and perpetuated countless forms of spiritual corruption throughout history. The great prostitute is seated on a scarlet beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, Revelation 17, verse 3. This beast represents a powerful political system or empire that collaborates with her, showcasing the dangerous alliance between corrupt religious institutions and worldly powers. The scarlet beast symbolizes earthly kingdoms and political systems that align themselves against God. Its scarlet color evokes wealth, luxury, and sinfulness. The woman seated on the beast. This imagery highlights how the great prostitute influences and controls these political powers, using them to spread her corruption and maintain her dominance. This partnership between religion and politics has been a recurring theme in history, where spiritual authority is misused for political gain, and political power exploits religion to manipulate and control. The woman holds a golden cup full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. Revelation 17, verse 4. The golden cup represents her allure and her ability to deceive. On the outside, the cup appears beautiful and desirable, symbolizing the temptation of wealth, power, and pleasure. However, its contents, abominations and filth, reveal the true nature of what she offers: spiritual corruption and moral decay. This symbolizes how the systems she represents seduce individuals and nations with promises of prosperity and satisfaction, only to lead them away from God's truth and into destruction. The great prostitute is described as clothed in purple and scarlet, adorned with gold, precious stones, and pearls. Revelation 17, verse 4. These symbols of wealth and luxury emphasize her outward appearance of power and success. However, this opulence masks her true nature, which is rooted in sin and rebellion against God. Her clothing and adornments represent the seductive nature of worldly systems that prioritize materialism, wealth, and power over spiritual values. She embodies the allure of a life that appears prosperous, but is ultimately empty and destructive. Revelation 17, verse 6 paints a grim picture. I saw the woman, drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. This indicates her active role in persecuting God's people. Her intoxication with their blood symbolizes not only her delight in their suffering, but also her relentless opposition to the truth. This persecution is both physical and spiritual. Historically, it reflects the oppression of believers by corrupt systems, and spiritually, it represents the suppression of God's truth and the promotion of false teachings. Revelation 17 verse 18 describes the great prostitute as the great city that rules over the kings of the earth. This indicates her global influence as she manipulates leaders, nations, and systems to align with her values. Her corruption and idolatry are not isolated but widespread, affecting all levels of society. The term city symbolizes not just a physical place, but an interconnected system of commerce, politics, and culture that opposes God's kingdom. The symbolism of the great prostitute is also a warning for believers to remain vigilant and not be seduced by her influence. In Revelation 18 verse 4, God calls his people to come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins or receive any of her plagues. This is a clear directive to avoid becoming entangled in systems of idolatry, materialism, and moral compromise. This call is not just for the time of Revelation, but for all ages, reminding Christians to align their lives with God's values and resist the temptations of corrupt worldly systems. The symbolism of the great prostitute in Revelation is a powerful portrayal of spiritual corruption, deception, and rebellion against God. Through her wealth, allure, and alliances with political power, she represents the systems and values that have led humanity away from its Creator. Understanding these symbols helps us discern the spiritual battles of our time and recognize the importance of staying rooted in God's truth. The great prostitute serves as both a warning and a reminder of the ultimate victory of God's justice and righteousness. The book of Revelation doesn't just describe the rise and influence of the great prostitute. It also vividly portrays her inevitable judgment and destruction. This judgment, detailed in Revelation 18, serves as a powerful testament to God's justice and sovereignty over corrupt systems. Let's delve into the key aspects of her fall and what it signifies. The fall of the great prostitute is announced with authority in Revelation 18 verses 1 to 2. Fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a dwelling for demons and a haunt for every impure spirit. This proclamation emphasizes that Babylon's, the great prostitute's, demise is certain and complete. The repetition of fallen reinforces the finality of her downfall. What once appeared powerful and invincible has now become a desolate ruin, a stark contrast to her former glory. The imagery of Babylon becoming a dwelling for demons symbolizes the ultimate exposure of her true nature, a corrupt system devoid of God's presence, filled with spiritual decay and evil influences. Revelation 18 verse 3 highlights the reasons for Babylon's judgment. For all the nations have drunk the maddening wine of her adulteries. The kings of the earth committed adultery with her, and the merchants of the earth grew rich from her excessive luxuries. This verse points to her global influence and the widespread corruption she perpetuated. Her adulteries symbolize idolatry and spiritual unfaithfulness, as she led nations and leaders to turn away from God in pursuit of materialism, power, and sinful pleasures. The merchant's lament underscores how deeply intertwined her influence was with economic greed and exploitation, further illustrating the pervasiveness of her corruption. One of the most striking aspects of the great prostitute's downfall is its suddenness. In Revelation 18 verse 8, it is said, "In one day her plagues will overtake her, death, mourning, and famine. She will be consumed by fire. For mighty is the Lord God who judges her." This rapid destruction signifies that no amount of wealth, power, or influence can protect a corrupt system from God's righteous judgment. The fire symbolizes both literal destruction and the purifying nature of God's justice, which eradicates all traces of sin and rebellion. As Babylon falls, the reaction of the world is one of mourning and despair. Revelation 18 verses 9 to 19 describes how the kings, merchants, and sea captains lament her destruction. The kings. These rulers mourn because they had indulged in her immorality and shared in her power. Her fall signifies the collapse of their own influence. The merchants. They grieve because their wealth and trade depended on her opulence and corruption. Her destruction means the end of their prosperity. The sea captains. They lament because Babylon's fall disrupts global commerce and trade, highlighting how deeply her influence was embedded in economic systems. However, their grief is self-centered, focused on their own losses rather than on the moral implications of her corruption. Before Babylon's destruction, God issues a clear command to his people in Revelation 18 verse 4. Come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins or receive any of her plagues. This call to come out is both literal and spiritual. It is a warning to avoid becoming complicit in her sins and to separate from systems of corruption and idolatry. For believers, this serves as a timeless reminder to remain faithful to God and not be seduced by the allure of materialism and immorality. The judgment and fall of the great prostitute in Revelation symbolize the ultimate defeat of all systems that oppose God. Her swift destruction demonstrates that no amount of power, wealth, or influence can protect against the righteous judgment of God. While the world mourns her fall, heaven celebrates, affirming the victory of justice and the faithfulness of God's promises. For believers, her fall is both a warning and a source of hope. A warning to avoid complicity in corrupt systems and a hope that God's justice will prevail, bringing an end to all sin and rebellion. The story of the great prostitute in the book of Revelation is one of profound symbolism and timeless relevance. Representing a corrupt and seductive system of power, wealth, and spiritual rebellion, she stands as a warning against the dangers of idolatry, materialism, and moral compromise. Her inevitable judgment and fall serve as a powerful reminder of God's justice and sovereignty. While the world mourns the destruction of such systems, heaven rejoices in the triumph of righteousness. This dual reaction emphasizes the stark contrast between worldly values and God's eternal truth. The call to come out of her is a challenge for every believer to remain faithful, to resist being drawn into the temptations of corrupt systems, and to align fully with God's kingdom. Ultimately, the fall of the great prostitute reassures us that evil will not have the final word. God's justice will prevail, and his kingdom of truth, holiness, and peace will endure forever. As we reflect on this powerful message, we are reminded to place our trust in God's plan and to live with hope, knowing that his victory is certain. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of Revelation's profound teachings. If this video helped you understand the symbolism of the great prostitute, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. And here's a question to spark discussion. What lesson from this story resonates with you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.